I got Mel's mock. Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft 4.0 is here, and the headline is Shedeur Sanders. A week or so ago, Mel in mock 3.0 had Sanders going 3 to the Giants. Now he has him going 9 to the New Orleans Saints. And as I always say with these mock drafts, keep a close eye on what number the player is going more than the team that's taking him. Mel, give me the rationale behind Shedeur Sanders falling, and I think that would be the right way to describe it in his case, all the way to number 9.
Yeah, first of all, Cleveland and the Giants, Cran, getting the best players in the draft at 2 and 3. That would be Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, passing on the quarterback there with Cam Ward going number 1. That gets Shedeur down to New Orleans. Remember, I had Shedeur going 3 and then Jackson Dart at 9. So really what I'm talking about here is the Saints. New head coach Kellen Moore. Dome team. Atlanta's in a dome. Carolina, Tampa Bay, good weather. Shedeur Sanders, I think, would be ideal. It would be a perfect fit going to New Orleans and be able to get that going. When the head coach comes in, he wants to handpick his quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, to me, is a guy. He's my QB1. I've had him that way pretty much all year. Have not changed. Not pretty much. All year it's been Shedeur Sanders for me. Others now are critical. They're wondering what kind of NFL quarterback can get. Why? Because he doesn't have the great arm. He's not going to run a 4.6, and he's not 6'4". But when you talk about what Tom Brady was able to do in the NFL, Shedeur Sanders will go about his business the same exact way at 6'1.5", 212. So for me, New Orleans, ideal fit. And I think if he gets past there, you get into a bit of no man's land until you get to 21 Pittsburgh, and they may not go quarterback unless it's Shedeur. If it's Shedeur, that would be interesting. Then the Rams at 26. If he gets down to around 18 to 20, then the Giants try to get back into the first round and get him after taking Abdul Carter at pick number 3.
RC, your thoughts? Shedeur Sanders, the possibility of him, and again, I'm going to use the word falling here. I mean, being the 9th pick of the NFL draft is still an extraordinary honor, but in this particular case, it would feel that way. What's your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like he's falling, but if you're Shedeur Sanders, to be picked in the top 10 means you've had an extraordinary college career and also evaluation leading up to the draft. The big thing for me is when you think about the Cleveland Browns, you think about the New York Giants, teams that have been burned for reaching for quarterbacks or trading for quarterbacks, you're going to go with the best 2 players, and that is Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. And if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I want to fall to a team that fits me. On the time, it's accurate. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a very good quarterback in this league, extremely early, if you ask me. But I do believe him falling is not as much Shedeur Sanders not being the quarterback we think he is, but other players being very good and other teams having needs in between 3 or in between 2 and 8.
So Young Fielding and Mel and I do the First Draft podcast together twice a week, and so we have these conversations regularly. And Field, I know that you are talking regularly to people all around the league. You were there Friday for the workout in Boulder and talked to, I'm sure, every team in the league was represented. Is your sense
teams in the second half of the first round that say, we like Shedeur Sanders, but if they were totally enamored by him, they would not just wait on him, they would perhaps try to make a move up the board. Do I think a slide past number 9 is possible? Yes, and then all of a sudden we start to ask the question that Mel proposed, which is, does Cleveland or do the New York Giants or do the Los Angeles Rams try to make a move up the board, RC, and perhaps beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, who currently pick at number 21, to the punch? And while they could sign Aaron Rodgers at any moment, as of right now, Aaron Rodgers is not on the roster. On top of that, he's going to be 42 in December. It might behoove Pittsburgh to have a double-barreled approach at quarterback this year in which you're saying, even if we do add Aaron Rodgers, we have a Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders ready for 2026 and beyond.
First off, is there like a lettuce requirement to be on your podcast?
Yes.
Look at the hair on these 3 dudes.
Yeah, we've made that.
We've
made that
Soak
observation.
it in, baby.
What's actually happening is that since Field got sort of elevated into this role, he's morphing into Mel. He's just becoming Mel.
Jr.
I love it. He is. If we put a pair of glasses on him and got him a piece of pumpkin pie, no one could tell them apart. Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, nobody likes pumpkin pie but Mel, by the way. Also, when you think about Shedeur Sanders and falling, I do believe what Field is saying about if he gets past that 9 realm, I think it's going to be a game of chess. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you move up, even if you have an Aaron Rodgers in the building? Because that team has to get their quarterback of the future at some point, Field and Mel. And the other piece of it is, to me, it's about being patient. If you're one of those teams who pass on him early and you're not in love with Shedeur Sanders, how do you play the game of whether or not he's a good enough quarterback to lead you early? And I think this is going to be the story of the draft. The entire night when you're sitting there on Thursday, Greeny, you're going to be asking, when is Shedeur Sanders going, especially if he gets past 9?
And then the next level of questions becomes, how much separation do teams perceive between the top level of quarterbacks, what we consider to be the top level of quarterbacks, and the next wave, which is where, hey, Kiper, you did something I didn't think you could do. You shocked me with this thing. I did not see this coming. For those who've not yet seen Mel's mock draft 4.0, it is 2 rounds long. And with the 34th pick, thus the second pick in the second round, Mel has the New York Football Giants selecting Jalen Milroe, quarterback, Alabama. Now, there was a moment in time after their win against Georgia this year in late September, Mel, that we thought Milroe might be the first pick overall in this draft. And then everything fell apart from there. Take me through Milroe this high in the second round.
It's all about talent, Greeny, with Jalen Milroe. I think I text people in the league, right? I text a good friend of mine in the NFL. It says it's too high for Jalen Milroe early in round 2 in this mock. He said, no, it is not too early for Jalen Milroe. Why? Because of the skill set. He's all about the side. You're all about a rocket arm, right? You're talking about tremendous speed. This kid is a great running quarterback. And he had a phenomenal game against Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs and Kirby Smart. Had he been able to bottle that game and carry it through the rest of the season and been consistent and not erratic, okay, and not off his game in terms of accuracy, short, intermediate, and even deep, then all of a sudden you're looking at a top 10 pick in the first round. Jalen Milroe comes to the Giants, right, where you need to have the arm playing in New York. You know, you got that Washington, Philadelphia, right? You got all that going on in that division. You think about where the Giants are. Brian Daboll, Josh Allen. Josh Allen came out. Accuracy issue, right? But he had the great arm, and he had the great mobility, running ability, dual threat. Jalen Milroe is exactly that guy. Needs coaching, needs a little bit of time. But if he can get together with a great quarterback guru like Josh did, who knows what Jalen Milroe will be in 2 or 3 years.
I only have a minute total. I want to get both of you in here. The news came out the other day that Milroe's going to be in Green Bay.
Exactly. So Milroe thinks he's going earlier than 34. Nobody wants to be there and not be picked. And the other side of it is, you look at the New York Giants. You're playing against Jaden Daniels. You're playing against also Jalen Hurts. You're going to look to have a quarterback that can match what they do from an athletic standpoint. And a guy like Jalen Milroe, if he falls to round 2, I believe he would be a good pick there as a project you could develop.
Quickly, Field, you have Will Howard in your mock, or at least the last one that I saw, higher up than him. What is your thoughts on Milroe this high? Quickly.
Milroe is beauty in the eye of the beholder. The range for Milroe is about as wide for any quarterback in the entire draft class. But more importantly, Greeny, I want to congratulate that guy that Mel was texting with, because Mel and I have been on a group thread with you, Greeny, since the beginning of September. And in that span, Mel has responded via text one time. It was a thumbs up emoji. One time in 7 months. So congratulations to this person who gets him to regularly respond to him.
A proposal has just emerged that could change everything for Tyreek Hill's future and his NFL career. The Minnesota Vikings are eyeing the Miami Dolphins receiver, and with a blockbuster offer on the table, the trade could happen before the upcoming season. In this video, we'll break down all the details of this proposal, which involves some big names and, of course, the impact Hill could have on the Vikings offense. Don't miss this video and find out everything you need to know about this potential explosive move. Before we dive into the details of this trade proposal, we need to talk about the context of this situation. Tyreek Hill has been a constant name in trade rumors, especially after his comment about always being a fan of the Vikings, making the rumors even more intriguing. Additionally, the Dolphins have a complicated situation with the salary cap, which could make them more willing to trade the veteran. So, do the Vikings have what it takes to bring Hill to their team? Let's explore that further. The trade proposal involves the Vikings sending receiver Jordan Addison and a second-round pick in the 2026 draft to the Dolphins in exchange for Tyreek Hill and a third-round pick also in 2026. This trade may seem beneficial for both sides, but the real issue is the salary cap. For the trade to happen, the Dolphins would need to wait until after June 1st, freeing up a good amount of cap space. This opens the door for a potential transaction, but the question remains, will the Vikings be able to convince the Dolphins before the deadline? Now, I want to know from you, what do you think of this proposed trade? Would Tyreek Hill be the missing piece in the Vikings offense to make it even more explosive? Or do you think trading Jordan Addison and a draft pick could be a mistake? Leave your opinion in the comments because I want to know what you think about this move. Now that we've covered the details of the deal and the impact of this trade, let's get to the main point. How could this move affect the Vikings' future, and what can Tyreek Hill bring to the team? This trade could completely reshape Minnesota's offense and elevate the team to a new level. Don't miss the next details on this potential bombshell in the NFL. The Minnesota Vikings are trying to strengthen their receiving core, and looking ahead, they've proposed a trade that could be the most important one in their recent history. They would be acquiring Tyreek Hill, one of the best receivers in the NFL, to form an explosive duo with Justin Jefferson. Hill has been one of the most coveted targets during this trade period, and if he actually joins the Vikings, the impact on the 2025 season could be massive. With this trade, Minnesota's offense would gain a new dimension, with two of the best receivers in the league on the same field. This trade could have a direct impact on the defensive strategies of the Vikings' rivals, who would now have to worry about two of the best receivers in the league on the same team. For the Dolphins, releasing Tyreek Hill could free up cap space and allow them to strengthen other positions, but they would lose one of the NFL's top offensive talents. The move could also redefine McCarthy's role as the starting QB, giving him one of the most dangerous receiving duos in the league. Is this the right move for Minnesota? And you, what do you think? Is the trade of Jordan Addison and a draft pick for Tyreek Hill a good deal for the Vikings, or would the Dolphins be losing out by giving up Hill? Leave your opinion in the comments here. I want to know how you see this move and what the consequences could be for both teams. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on all the NFL moves and other bombshells like this one. Stay tuned for more videos analyzing trades, negotiations, and everything happening in the world of American football. See you in the next video.